you here today. We are honored to have you with us for the Monroe County Schools State of Education Address. Your attendance is a reminder of just how important our work is, and it demonstrates your support and commitment to our school system. And for that, we thank you. In just a few minutes, you will hear from our superintendent. His goal is to share with you the performance of our students in our system, review our areas of focus, and discuss the opportunities for improvement to help us achieve our vision for our students. Dr. Hickman consistently works hard to share our story and to find innovative ways to engage you in Monroe County schools. Your commitment and involvement in our school system contributes to our district's success and to the solutions needed to meet the needs of our youth. Again, we thank you for your support and look forward to continuing your partnership in education. Thank you. And at this time, Jackson Daniel will provide the invocation as well as instructions for lunch.
Welcome. We are so blessed that all of you have joined us today and that you hopefully you had a good swim in this morning. Before our invocation, I want to offer just some housekeeping things. So in a few minutes, our school nutrition department is going to serve a wonderful, good, hearty, warm lunch for this cold, wet day. And what I've been asked to do is to send you under the steps, around the steps, and then come through the line. And then that'll take you right over to the drink table, and then come back and take your seat. Restrooms, we have men's and women's right over here. And then there's a women's room on the other side of the lobby. So if you need to visit those. There's a lot of events going on. The Fine Arts Center has been in use every night this week with student events. And that will continue Monday as our elementary schools do their Christmas concert. And that will kind of wrap up our schedule. But tonight, we have a lot of activity in the building because the 10-teners from Australia have rolled into town. And they are going to be doing the only show in Georgia here tonight at 7:30. So we hope if you have an opportunity to come and you haven't bought tickets yet, see one of us and we will give you instructions on how to find tickets. But before we leave this afternoon, we're going to give 2 tickets away to the show. And so at the end of the show, end of this program, we're going to come back and offer these tickets. But we hope that you will partake of tonight's event and all of the events we have. After the new year, we have spring musicals from every one of our schools, so our students will be taking the stage. We also will have an announcement soon of our 2020 concert series, and we've already announced our Forsyth Festival kickoff event, which will be held in March. David Phelps from the Gaither Group will be attending, so a lot of good things on the table. The last thing I want to mention is that there are information cards at your table. There's a performance highlight sheet that we ask you to take a minute, and it's for you to take with you, that just talks about some of the successes that have gone on this school year, and you're going to hear about those things in Dr. Hickman's speech. So at this point, we'll move to our invocation. Just want to point out we're in between a season of gratitude and a season of hope. And it is just a good time for us to come together and celebrate family, friends, traditions, and new beginnings. These are celebrations of life that we should have every day, not just during the holidays. So I'll ask you now if you'll join me for a word of invocation and thanksgiving. Dear Father, we gather today as a grateful and hopeful group of people. We are thankful to be a part of a community that values education and wants what is best for its young people. Today, like all days, we celebrate the blessings of achievement, success, and opportunities. And we know that the best days are still to come. We thank you for the teachers and custodians, the parapros, the bus drivers, the counselors, the administrators, the cafeteria workers, the coaches, the media specialists, and the board members who all at this moment are on the job helping our children learn, grow, and succeed in whatever direction their life will take them. We thank you for the backing of a community which is always ready to support their children in the classroom, on the playing field, on the performance stage, and as they are nurtured to become the next generation of leadership. We thank you that we can gather here to celebrate accomplishments and opportunities. We recognize that there is always more work to be done, and we pray your blessings as we move ahead. We also thank you for the food that we will soon receive, for the hands which have prepared it, and that it will strengthen us to continue the tasks necessary to provide a bright future for our children, our neighborhoods, our town, our state, and our country. Please help us to recognize the blessings that we have as individuals, as a school system, and as a community. As an ever thankful and ever hopeful people, we come together as one voice. In your gracious name, we say, Amen. If you will help yourself to lunch.
But I want to do some recognition before I get started with the program. I want to thank State Representative Robert Dickey's here with us today. We appreciate you being with us, Robert. He's always supportive of our county, city, and Board of Education, so thank you for being here today. We've got our City Council, Mayor Wilson, thank you for being here. County Commissioner Chair Tapley's here. We appreciate you being here today. Mr. Mommy, we've got Hospital here today. Thank you for being here to support us. Monroe County Sheriff's Office representatives are here. We thank you for being here as well. We've got our central office staff that's here with us, and we appreciate you being here. We do have, the best part of our program today is we're going to highlight some of our seniors at Mary Persons, and we appreciate them being here and their parents. So when we get started, before we get started with the program, I'm going to ask that our board members come up here real quick, if they'll join me at the front. And I almost forgot, Dr. Monroe. Columbus City Council is here with us. I think we've got two members from there. We appreciate you being with us. I'd like to introduce our board members. We've got four of them here today. And that would include Greg Head, we've got Chairman Howard, we've got Stuart Hickman, Judy Peckerberry, and JP Evans is not able to be with us today. Priscilla Dawson is not with us. And I think, who else? And Eva Bilderback. She told me she would not be able to make it. But I wanted to make mention that these guys do a lot to support our school district and lead our school district. And we sure appreciate everything that they do for us, that they do for me, and for our children. Because they spend a lot of time doing a lot of things, going to a lot of events, doing a lot of training. And they're very dedicated to our community and to our kids. And I'm going to this time let Chairman Howard say a few words on their behalf. And actually, I will keep them up here as we go over our vision and mission for the district, because they have a lot to do with what we've created as far as a vision and mission in the school district.
On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome everybody here. It's a pretty nasty day. I need to share this with Mr. Tapley, Commissioner Tapley, that all the landscaping y'all did in the firehouse is down in Dr. Hickman's yard.
I checked.
And it was flooded. It was really flooded. And y'all are pretty dedicated. Probably the only more dedicated folks are the ones attending the state championship games in the stadium, Georgia State Stadium in Atlanta today. But y'all got out and weathered the storm here. They had to have you here. We can't say enough about our administration and what they've done to make us where we are today. And that started at the administration, goes on down to central office, to the individual schools, the administrators, to the teaching staff, to all of the support people, grounds crew. Miss Singlet, I think we need to recognize her for preparing a meal. And she did say she was so proud of herself she didn't burn it. So, yeah.
And we had roast beef instead of chicken. You know we have chicken, we got roast beef. We're good.
Well, there's a lot of school systems out there that they like to think they have as good a staff and administrators as what we have. But there's one thing that we have a lot of schools would love to have, and that's community support. And we've got it. Thank y'all.
All right, just hang around with me, and we're going to move to our vision. And over time, our board, along with our stakeholders, has worked with this statement. And several, y'all hang around, hang here, because I'm gonna let you stay, because these guys were very integral in doing this work. And a long time ago, this statement was about 3 sentences long. And we said, really, it's too much. We want it to be something that's simple and to the point, that everybody can understand, and that we can use as a vision that we can communicate. And basically, we've narrowed it down to developing students with the knowledge and skills to be successful. And that means every kid in every classroom in our school system, from pre-K all the way up to seniors. And we're actually going to highlight that success, some of our seniors today as they move on, because graduation used to be kind of the end point. Well, these days for us, it's kind of a starting point, and we want to know what they're going to do, and we want to be able to support that. So they're going to share that with us today, and we're excited to be able to do that. So that's what our vision is to provide opportunities for all kids to be successful, and that's a lot of different things to a lot of different kids. So we're proud to have a vision statement that's simple but yet effective. And so we'll move to the mission statement. This was another one that we've actually moved down to basically 3 words. Other than the end, it's learn, grow, and succeed. What do you think? Who do you think that pertains to? Students, who do you think that pertains to? Is that for kids?
Everyone?
It's for everybody. And that means that's from the superintendent down. And all we ask, one of the things that I ask my employees, central office staff, I ask that you be better today than you were yesterday. And in order to do that in education, you got to learn. And if we learn every day, over time we're going to grow and we're going to be in another place, in a better place. And finally, the main goal is that we want to succeed, and success for us is student performance. And that's what we try to do with all that we do. And the board has worked, we work every November and even spring to kind of look at this every year to make sure this is what we want to do as a district, and this is what we're doing as a district. And I thank them for working through that, because it's kind of a hectic process with the wording. We look at the individual words, and it means a lot to us. It's kind of our recipe. So we're proud of the work that they've done. They are lifelong learners. They have all of our kids by the end of grade 3 that they're on grade level with their math facts and in their reading levels. And that's a tall order, but if we're able to do that and get more kids those foundational skills, they'll be more successful later in high school and as they move on into life. So we're working very hard with that. Readers to Leaders is a program that I'm going to put out there today. It's a volunteer program where people in the community come in and serve 1 hour a week reading to kids in grades pre-K through 3. If you're interested in that, please let us know. We've probably got about 70 members already that are working in our schools and working with our children. So we're happy to be able to continue that work. And then the third one, it seems like a lot, but it says utilizing multi-tiered systems of support to ensure success for all learners. Basically, that means providing interventions for all levels of children and giving them the tools that they need to be successful for whatever grade that might be. We have different kids that are served for 504 special needs, and we put interventions in place to make sure they're successful in learning the standards in that particular grade level. And then finally, we're making sure that all children, regardless of subgroup, are learning at the same rate, about the same amount as it relates to standards throughout the system. And we're doing that. Every kid is being successful, and that's something that's important to us. Our current state, a little bit about our school district. We have 4,172 students as of the other day. That's actually 2 more now because we added 2 yesterday. That number keeps creeping up. That's going to be something I'm going to mention as a challenge. We are continuing to see a lot of new housing, a lot of stuff moving into the county, and it's just a matter of time. Those numbers are going to go up, and we've got a plan to be ready for that. We have 5 schools on 7 campuses. The high school, we have a freshman campus, a main campus, and for middle and high, we have an alternative setting, which is Monroe County Achievement Center that serves the middle and high school. We have 3 elementary schools, which are Katie Sutton, T.G. Scott, and Hubbard Elementary, and then we have 1 middle school, so 5 schools total. We're the largest employer. We don't like that, but right now we're the largest employer with 675 professionals. We have about 320 certificated staff, that's administrators and teachers. And then the other support, that would be school nutrition, bus drivers, clerical staff, etc. One of the things that's unique in our area, our poverty rate is 54%. And poverty rate means those students that qualify for free and reduced lunch. And typically that number's been, since I've been in the system, it's been 50 or over. It used to be a little higher during the recession. But typically that means over half of our kids have to have some assistance with the meals that they have during school. So we have in this county, I think about it, we have areas like, we have a big gap. There's a lot that have higher incomes, and we have a lot that are on the lower income and very few in the middle. And that's kind of something that's unique to us in Monroe County right now. We have a gifted student population of 11%. And then students receiving special services, special needs for different disabilities at 13%. And we have a $43 million budget. Right now we have a 15.718 millage rate. That's for local taxes, property taxes. And local taxes provide us about 60% of that total budget that you see there. So we want to make sure that our local community has a lot of say in what we do. The rest of it comes from state and federal taxes. And then we do have capital projects and things that we can do, like the building of this facility and other upgrades through an E-Splosh, which is a 1-cent sales tax in our county. All right, at this time, I'm going to call up here some folks, and I'm very proud if our principals would join me up front at this time. These are the folks that are getting it done at this building level, and I want to make sure that you get to know who they are and what we're doing at the building level as far as performance. I'm going to ask them to stay up here for several slides, because they are where the rubber meets the road every day with our children and our staff. Grady Caldwell, Monroe County Achievement Center Principal. Dr. Ephraim Yarber, Monroe County Middle School. Dr. Richard Bazemore at T.G. Scott. Becky Brown, Katie Sutton. Jay Johnston's at Hubbard Elementary. And MPHS at Dr. Jim Finch. Let's give them a hand. I've had the fortune of having this group kind of with me since I've been superintendent. I can say the success of our district is in large part because of what these individuals do every day. They're very good role models for our children. They work hard, they're performance-based, and very, very lucky to have this group. So I'm going to share some stuff if we'll move the slide forward. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, and I'm going to probably put this in layman's terms. We get judged for what is called a CCRPI rating, and that's a College and Career Ready Performance Index that basically rates schools, and you get a score from 1 to 100. And so I'm going to put it just real briefly what's included in this number. It includes a lot of stuff, but basically it includes the performance of our children on standardized assessments, the growth from year to year on those assessments, and how all children are learning regardless of subgroup population. And for high school, it will include the graduation rate. So these numbers up here, we just got this from last year. And all across here you can see a number, and I'll go over this in just a second, but they're all green. And they're all green because the row below it is the number that we had last year. And all across the board, every school in our district has improved from the year before. That's great. And not only have they improved from this past year, you can see the bottom row is the state averages. Not only are we just beating the state averages, we're dominating the state averages. And that means our kids are performing at the highest levels of the state. These numbers, just for instance, looking here at the district, our district score is 87.7. The highest, and you'll see this in a minute, the highest in the state is something like 92.7. That's the highest score. We're within 5 points of the highest score in the state. But the average for districts is 75.9, so we're way ahead of that average. We used to try just to meet the state average. Our expectations are higher than that. We really want to be number one in the state, and I do believe, based on some of the barriers that we have, that subgroup, when we talked about poverty rate, when I show you these counties in a minute we're competing with, and the special needs rate of our kids, I think we may be the top school district as far as performance in the state. But it is important for you to know how well these schools are doing. And the other thing, has anybody noticed anything about those numbers that I'm probably most proud of? They're all about the same. So we don't have a school that's not getting it done. They're all getting it done. And one of the reasons we do that is that we work together. We have professional learning that we do monthly. And when you go into a classroom in the elementary school, middle school, or high school, you're going to see the same. It's different kids and it's different standards, but there's some same practices going on throughout. And we are committed to professional learning. We ask that our teachers be committed to professional learning so that we get better, and so we can provide better service to our community and to our children. So these scores are unbelievable. And then next slide, this is probably the best news, is right now, out of 187 school districts in the state of Georgia, we're 9th ranked academically. And we've never been that high. see it at the back. But the economically disadvantaged, that's the poverty rate. We have the highest poverty rate of those school systems. And at the time that was taken, it was 16% for special needs was reported at that time, and that's the highest of those. So we have a lot of barriers. We're overcoming those barriers. I look at those barriers as opportunities for success. So we're doing that, and these guys, even though we have a vision as a board, and I try to carry that vision and mission every day, they have to get it done. And they're doing a great job of that. So at this time, let's give them a round of applause. Let them sit down. Not to finish that, you want to be One last thing to share about performance. And this is another thing that deals with safety, and one of the things that we've been working on lately as a school system. All of our buildings have what we call a 5-star climate rating. That's the highest rating. You get a 1 star to 5 stars. And it's based on staff and student attendance surveys that parents, staff, community fill out, discipline in safe and drug-free environment. And we look at all those different factors to come up with a star rating, and our schools are the very top. Last year, Mary Persons was the only high school that had a 5-star rating in Central Georgia. So that's a big deal. That means, because a lot of times you get a lot of different type behaviors in high school, and luckily for us, those behaviors, you know, they're bad for us, but typically they're not very bad. And so that's a good deal, and we love for that to be a safe environment in our system. So that's something to be proud of as a community. All right, what are our major projects this year that we're working on? We just completed the Agri-Science Center on Thornton Road. Many of you were there for the grand opening. We're actually using that facility now. We're very proud of that. We're renovating the main campus at Mary Persons. Again, this next summer we did phase 1, which was the left side of the building as you face it. Then we'll do the right side this next summer. We're actually adding some technology cabling as well to increase our internet access in that building. We're looking at expansion of classrooms, talking about numbers. When we moved out of the Hubbard building, when we had 2 different campuses for middle school, we moved them back to the Bank Stevens campus, and we need space. And so we're adding 14 classrooms beginning this summer out on Thornton Road, and we will expand the cafeteria as well. So we're at about 973 kids at middle school now, and that's probably about as many as we've ever had at middle school setting. We'll begin the demolition of parts of the William Hubbard campus after Christmas, and that campus enhancement, which will include a walking park and a playground for our Boys and Girls Club and for the community. So that will be taking place after Christmas. The safety upgrades that I mentioned earlier, we're working on those throughout the system. And we've added a new playground at T.G. Scott, and we'll be adding a new playground at Hubbard Elementary as well this year. Our graduation rate for this past year is 86.6, so basically 86 to 87 out of 100, and you can see that's been that way for quite some time. Dr. Finch, myself, and that's one of the things that we're working hard on. We've tried very hard to get to 90, and we're going to get there. We really want to get to 100, but you know, if you think about that, 87 out of 100 sounds pretty good, but that's 13 kids that we didn't reach. And so we've got to find different ways to guide them in directions that they can get a diploma and can get successfully employed or move on to other training that will allow them to be prepared for life. Because if they don't graduate and not successful, we can pay for them now and deal with them now. If not, we're going to deal with them later. And that's through unemployment and different things as a community. So it's imperative that we as a school district and as a community make sure that graduation rate is as high as it can be for the betterment of everything. All right, to the best part of the show, we're going to have 4 seniors come up, and they're going to talk to us about their career path, and then why they chose that career path and what Mary Persons has done to help that path. And we'll talk about why they like Monroe County schools, who their best teacher is, and why. We want to know those things. We're always talking to our kids. If you want to know who the best teachers are, ask the kids, they can tell you. If you want to know where something's not safe, ask the children, they'll tell you. And so it's imperative that we listen to our children, and I'm glad to have them here today. So we're going to start. I'm going to go back and put this on the podium, unless y'all want it on the podium or you want it on the podium. So we're gonna start, with Dylan Fountain, if you'll come up, and then we'll go TJ, Noki, and Taylor.
All right, my name is Dylan Fountain, and after high school, I'm planning on going to work with Head Heat and Air here in Forsyth. They're good company and good people, and I would say that the way Mary Persons helped me is that by the work-based learning program, it helped me get my foot in the door with working and getting some experience while I'm still in school before I go and work full time. And my favorite teacher had to be Coach Smallwood. He's pretty good teacher and down to earth. And one of my favorite memories is just being on the soccer team and bonding with them folks and winning and losing a couple games.
Good luck to you.
My name is Terrence Henderson. I'm a senior at Mary Persons. I will be pursuing my career as a security force airman in the United States Air Force. I'll be joining the Air Force because the military offers something bigger than myself, and it offers me a way to serve my country. I like Mary Persons. I moved here my sophomore year, and
Where you moved from, TJ? Where'd you come from, TJ?
I come from Jackson High School. Mary Persons has awesome counselors, and I'm connected with Miss Burston down there at the main campus, and she's an awesome counselor. She helped me connect with my recruiter, and I mean, there are basic jobs in the military, but in order for me to go for the lifestyle I want, I chose the Air Force. And my favorite memory is my 11th grade prom. I had fun. And I wanted to go to prom because I watched my siblings go, my older siblings, which is my sister. And my favorite teacher is Miss Myers. I met her my sophomore year in CTAE. She has been my greatest help. She's seen my passion to be very successful, and I want to thank her a lot.
Good afternoon. My name is Anita Patel, and after graduation, I plan to go to a four-year university. I've been accepted into the University of Georgia, and I'm awaiting results from Georgia Tech, Harvard, Yale, and Stanford. Mary Persons has helped mold me into a well-rounded student. I've taken fine arts classes, CTAE classes,
we're so blessed to have the children in our school system and their drive to be successful and to do those things that they need to do to be prepared for the next step. And so we wish them the very best. Don't forget, come back and share some of the things that happened to you after graduation. But they're wonderful kids, and it's just an example of the type of kids that we're producing and we're working with in our school system. And I think you should be very proud of them and the things that they're doing. Challenges ahead. As a school district, we have to think about down the road, what are some things that are going to be happening that might affect our planning. And I guess the thing that's always on our mind is safety. It used to be something that we had a safety plan and we put it on the counter in a bookshelf, and it's out amongst us all the time, and we're trying to improve the safety every day. We're trying to think about things that are not safe in our environments. And I think as we move forward, that will continue to be a challenge for us. There's a fine line between being safe and then being too safe and like a prison. So, but you gotta do what you gotta do to keep your kids and staff safe. And so we'll continue to be looking at that first and foremost in everything we do. The second one, the student population growth, I mentioned that earlier. We've kind of trickled up a little bit. We hadn't got an explosion. We never really have. But we're on the corridor that 2 counties up that has exploded over from the 90s. And we sit in a place that really could explode. And so we kind of have to be ready for that. That's one of the reasons we want to have some excess room in elementary, middle, and high to be ready to do that if it comes. So I expect that if our economy still continues to do well, I think we're going to see more and more children in Monroe County, more families moving to Monroe County. So that's something we got to look at. Financial efficiency, continuing looking at money that's available to the school system. Right now everything's well. State's been doing good. We've had teacher raises, but how long does that last? Every year's different. And now how does that affect the plans that we're making for instruction, the future? How will all that be affected to make sure that we're efficient with the funds and continue to get the funding? Because it does take, to provide the nice things and the things that kids need, it takes money. It really does. It takes great folks, but it does take money, and we need that, we appreciate that. So we got to think about that as we move forward. Teacher retention is another one. We have a shortage of teachers around the nation. A lot in the state of Georgia. It's hard to find special needs teachers, foreign language teachers, math and science teachers. And a lot of times you can hire them, and it says, I think within 5 years, 40% of new teachers leave the field. So a lot of them start, but not a lot of them are ending up. And so we've got to do a better job of attracting and keeping those teachers in these classrooms. And that's why I think professional learning is important. Because when you come, I remember when I started, it was kind of like I started, and I either sank or swam based on what I was able to do. Well, you can't do that anymore. You've got to nurture a teacher just like you do a child. And so we work with them to make sure they have all the resources that they need to be successful. And then finally, graduation rates and post-secondary opportunities. We want to make sure that we get those graduation rates up and continue to look at next steps for seniors. Because used to, there were just several things you could do as a graduate. Now the world's wide open. We've got so much with dual enrollment. We've got technical school, prep school, colleges and universities, world of work, service. There's just so many things kids can do now. We've got to make sure those paths are wide open and they're ready to be filled by our kids. And so those are the things that we're looking for in the future, but we're very positive about the future. I think we're in a good place in a lot of different areas. And again, I think we're glad to be able to share that with you today. I could talk all day about it, but I know you guys, it is Friday, and the rain has stopped to get back to your car. But if we'll move forward with the next slide, just before we leave, and does anybody have any questions as it relates to the school system or anything about our children that we could answer? If you think of something, if you, after the event, you want to stop and talk to us or the kids, feel free to do that. We've got all of our information up here. We try to put our story out there because a lot of times if we don't put it out there, people put that story out there for us in the way that they want it. And I think the best way to do is to tell it and have our kids tell it because they're there every day. And so again, we'd like to thank everybody for coming today, spending an hour of your time, listening to us about what we're doing in the school system. And we're working hard to make you proud of us, and we'll continue to do that in the future. So thank you for coming. Oh, Merry Christmas, and we got to choose for the tickets. So we did a random generator for the numbers when you signed in. That's why we made sure everybody was signed in. So I'm gonna turn it over to Jackson for the winner of the 2 tickets for tonight.
Okay, and I should have said earlier, I don't know if you realized, but the Fine Arts Center celebrated its 3rd birthday yesterday. It was 3 years ago yesterday. Our first public event, and that was the high school chorus and band that performed. We didn't even have curtains and lights on the stage, but we performed anyway. So 3 years, it's been a great 3 years. So the deal with these tickets, like he said, everybody signed in, we did a random number generator, and so we're gonna award these tickets. If something happens and you can't go, or you already have tickets, then you have the opportunity to gift these tickets to someone else. So make somebody's day. These are 6-row center sections, so these are great seats. And Mike Ogletree, you are our winner.
Guys, thank you for coming today. We're very proud to serve you. Merry Christmas.